Sadashivasamaramбhaम् Shankaracharyamध्यamam Asmadacharyaparyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantan Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Paramparam Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we were seeing the Vedanta unfoldment of Brahman, Ishvara, Maya, Jiva, all of these words that we hear very frequently throughout all the texts. And that one truth, which is known as Brahman, we saw manifests through the sattva predominant aspect of Prakriti, Maya, nature, because nature is three gunas. Nature has three qualities called gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Sattva being the quality of knowledge that manifests knowledge. So here we find Brahman manifesting through the sattva guna predominant Prakriti, material cause for the universe, is given the title Ishvara. That Maya Upadi, through Prakriti, Brahman becomes all knowledge Ishvara. We were seeing that. And on the same level, Jiva manifesting, the Brahman manifesting through avidya upadi, or the limiting adjunct of ignorance. Ignorance is karana shariram, the causal body. Consciousness manifesting through causal body gives rise to the effect, which is body, mind, senses. The body, mind, senses is the one of the effects of the causal body, karana shariram. We'll see in the next few verses he discusses both the sukshma, the subtle body, and the gross body, how the causal body is the cause for both the other bodies. So the causal body is ignorance, called karana shariram. Why is it ignorance? It contains the seed form of all the karmas, the karma palam, the results of action, all the action, results of action. Everything is in potential seed form, because the individual jiva takes itself to be ahankara, the egoic, individualized self. And once it takes itself to be the ahankara, ahankara actually stands for ahankarta, I am the doer. Ahankara means ahankarta. When that individual is identified with doership, that I am doing the action, what is the consequence? Then definitely the individual will look for results, experience of the results of action. So the individual takes on two roles here, aham karta, aham bhokta. It is called bhokta, the experiencer. Actually bhokta means enjoyer. But there are many things we don't enjoy. So it's best we call experiencer. Aham karta, the I, the thought that works in the world. Who does the I do things for? I think I am doing for this person or that person. In fact, every I is doing activity for bhokta. Aham karta works for aham bhokta. So I'm actually working for my experience of the results. So here he talks about this jiva, why this jiva gets into the cycle of this becoming, because once it gets into this doing for getting results and experiencing the sukha, actually we only want to get results which give rise to pleasant situations. So we can see that in our lives we are always doing actions to give rise to pleasant situations. And the other side, we do action to get rid of unpleasant situations. So every jiva is working for these two things. That is called kartritvam bhoktritvam. The status of being doer, status of being experiencer, and this perpetuates the karana shariram. This perpetuates the causal body. This makes the causal body reappear again and again and again. Causal body, because the cause is still there, it has not been eradicated. What is the cause? Avidya, ignorance. Ignorance that the jiva does not know what. Hey, Brahman is manifesting through this upadhi, it is not I. So without that knowledge, the jiva keeps returning to this. He goes on now to talk about the other shariras, two shariras. This is a model which have come from the Karana Shariram. He says, Tamah pradhana prakritehe Tat bhogayeshwarajnaya Viyat pavanate jombu Bhuvo bhutani jagnire. So he says now, so we have seen the rajas, when the Brahman manifests through the rajas aspect of Prakriti. When Prakriti is rajas predominant, it gives rise to the jiva, which is avidya. And now what about the tamas in creation? What about the tamas predominant Prakriti? So he says that here, from tamas predominant Prakriti, tamah pradhana prakritehe, by the command of Ishvara. So we'll see that Ishvaragneya, and for the reason tat bhogaya, for the experience of the jiva's karma phalam, the results of action of the individual, what is being born, viyat pavana tejom bhuvaha bhutani jagnire. The five elements come now into existence. So now the Jagat comes into existence. Five elements, he says, space, air, fire, water and earth are created by the command of Ishvara, as though command. We'll see that. So Prakriti, first what happens? From the tamas aspect, the subtle elements come into existence. This is much of Tattva-bodha comes here. So people have studied Tattva-bodha. It is again reiteration for you all. He brings it here. But Karana Shariram is the root cause for everything. So what comes into existence? He says the 5 elements come into existence. This 5 elements that we see, everything is a composite of these 5 elements. Space, air, fire, water and earth. Anything you take is elements and elementals. And why is it created? It is created for the experience of the individual. Jiva bhogaya, so that the jiva can experience and it can live out its karmic account. So if we don't have a place, then what will we do with the karma? First of all, we need a means, we need a place to exhaust our karmas. And what does it mean when you talk about exhausting karmas? How can you exhaust karmas? Shastra, if you remember, Tattva-Bodha also talked about it. I can only exhaust karmas by going through the experience. This is very important to remember because we think we can get rid of karmas. This goes back to also, the question about suicide and all of this. If you understand this, the only way to exhaust our karmic account is to go through the experience. Otherwise, the karma still remains in the Akashic record or karmic account, and it has to be some lifetime or other, it may still manifest. And at the same time, what am I doing? Some things are getting exhausted from past lives, and at the same time, I'm creating new karmas. That is why it is limitless sanchita account. I've got so much to exhaust. I cannot exhaust in 1 lifetime or 100 lifetimes. I cannot exhaust. So the only way to get rid of karma is what? By seeing oneself as non-doer, non-experiencer. Then there's no karma account left. That's what the Vedānta says. In one shot, karmic account is cleared when the jiva, individual, recognizes what? I never did karma in the first place. Who did karma? Does space act in this room? Hey, when you recognize the pot suddenly makes a discovery, what? Oh my God, I'm pot space. I'm untouched by the confines of the pot. There are many other pots as well in space. It looks around, big pots, 5 liter, at the beginning, before knowledge, 5 liter pot, 1 liter pot. But I'm only this much. And the other pot is painted so beautifully. Look at the other one, it's a crack pot. So there's many different types of pots. One painted beautifully, one big, one small, always comparing to other pots. This pot, suddenly the guru pot comes and talks to the ignorant jiva pot and says, Tattva-viveka, you are that space. You are not limited to the pot worlds. You need not compare yourself to other pots because the essence of other pots, the essence of total space, essence of your intrinsic nature is only space. Suddenly the pot sees, I am space. So pot recognizes what? Space. Can space do any action? That pot space is the same as total space, is the same as the space in all the other pots. And space can never do any action. So whatever the pot thought, whatever karma, in fact karma is a model brought in when there is feeling of doership. All of this, sharira, karma, all of this you have to take with a pinch of salt because don't give too much reality. These are all prakriyas. They are teaching methodologies to unfold that there is no sharira actually, that there is only one consciousness. But while identification is there, then these are given a certain reality. Karmas, because karma makes sense if you think you're suffering, going through something. Then it gives some kind of emotional buffer system, right? When you understand the law of karma, many people in India, people live with this understanding of karma. So you'll see it's very natural, inbuilt. They may not know the technicalities of sanchita, prarabdha, agami, all of these words they may not know. But generally you find in India, if something happens, it was my karma. People will always say that. But sometimes that, it is my karma leads to fatalistic attitude. It is not so you become fatalistic in life. It is my karma. No. Free will is also given along with karma. So we cannot just absolve ourselves of free will. There's always this argument, is it prarabdha karma or free will? And people will always ask. So I always use the example of a game of rummy. It's a card game. In rummy, you're dealt a certain set of cards, right? You're dealt by the dealer a certain set of cards. But you can't change that set. The set is what you have in your hand. But how you play the cards is your free will. How you play the cards in the game is your free will. You can choose which card to play. So here, this is what prarabdha is like. Sometimes, when we are born, prarabdha means there are a set of experiences ready for me to exhaust in one particular lifetime. Now, if I'm fatalistic, I can just say, I'm not going to do anything. If everything is going to happen to me, prarabdha, then what's the point in acting? No. How I face the situations, how I deal with the situations is my free will. So free will is very much there when I know I am karta or I am identified with kartritvam. So here, he's saying here that all the elements came into existence and they're born from the tamaha aspect of prakriti. And why is it tamas? Because it is inert. Tamas cannot reflect consciousness. Tamas cannot manifest consciousness. So this body is what? It is tamas. It cannot reflect consciousness on its own. We know that because when the subtle body departs from the physical, where does this go back to? Elements and elementals. So our own physical body belongs actually to Jagat, to the earth. We give so much importance. It is one with the elements, one with the earth. So this, because of the tamas aspect of prakriti, the whole Jagat of elements and elementals comes into play. So you see now, there are three differences. Ishvara, here Vidyaranya accounts for Ishvara, Jiva and Jagat. Ishvara, Jiva and Jagat. And we'll see how Vedānta slowly resolves these seeming three things. Because they're only seeming. It is the one, even if you understand these few verses, you can see that it is the one consciousness manifesting in various names and forms, manifesting through sattva aspect Ishvara, manifesting through rajas aspect Jiva, manifesting through tamas aspect the Jagat. What is common in all? Brahman manifesting. So Brahman is all that is here. So he says here, the prakriti now, we saw that the equilibrium of the Jagat is disturbed, and this is where he says, Ishvara Agneya, the command of Ishvara, it gets disturbed. But can Ishvara give a command? It is as though, even in other texts, as I said, there are lines like he desired the world to come into existence. So kamayata. You see, Ishvara Agneya, all of this is just symbolic. It is not really that Ishvara says, okay, now Jagat come into existence. There is no separate Lord saying that. But it means that as if he took a sankalpa, as if that cosmic being, all knowledge, takes a sankalpa, jivasya bhogaya. Again, a model for the experience of the jiva, because the jiva has to undergo pleasant and unpleasant results in life. The living in the physical body is for what? To exhaust karma and to recognize that I am beyond karma ultimately. So firstly, when I'm identified with the form, this form is used for experience of my karma phalam, for my results of action. Results of action manifesting as pleasant, unpleasant. Sometimes more unpleasant, pleasant. Pleasant, pleasant, unpleasant. Unpleasant, 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 pleasant. But this is how everybody's life is like. We don't know what is going to unfold next moment. But it is always Mishra. It is a mixture of both. So he says here that Ishvara desires for the sake of the jivas. Very interesting model. Ishvara desires this whole universe so the jivas have a playground in which to exhaust their karmas. So it's like the parent, Jagadav Pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwarau. There is a beautiful verse by Kalidasa, who was a great poet. He says that this Shiva and Parvati are the universal mother and father of this universe. And this universal mother and father have created this playground for the children, which are jivas. The children have to, find their own way in the playground. Parents are watching. They are there. If you seek the help of the divine parents, they will always be ready to help. But when do we go to them to seek help? Only when we cut and fall and break our leg, or otherwise we're quite happy playing with our friends away from our divine parents. We're quite happy playing in this playground. Suddenly I fall, I cut, then I run to my mother. Oh, Mama. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Suddenly I go and remember Jagatav Pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwaro. So that is exactly this type of thing. The whole thing is made for the exhaustion of the karmas for the jivas to enjoy. So now we see jiva required a place for living out its life. Ishvara provides the place, the world. The jiva requires instruments to experience the place. Ishvara provides the instruments to experience this place. Jiva requires objects to experience this place. People are also in with the objects because they're objects of experience. Ishvara provides everything that is required in this jagat for me to experience the jagat. And that is what we're all doing. Day by day, we're experiencing different experiences we have unfolding. Do I know what is going to unfold next minute? We have no idea what is going to unfold. That's the beauty of life. There is an order unfolding for each one of us. We never know what is going to unfold, but if I understand that it is all coming in the order of Ishvara, that this whole thing is created for me to go through certain experiences, then I can learn more and more to go through objectively. That's the whole key, to go through life with objectivity, understanding that Ishvara is all that is here. Because what is Ishvara? And ultimately, all of this is what? It is just a virtual reality world, I would say. It is a virtual reality world. You take the virtual reality glasses off, you're a jnani. You see, oh my God, I'm free from this. There was an avatar of me, in virtual, somebody gave me an experience of that. It was really, it's so real. You feel, but you're in a world and you turn around and everything seems so solid in that world. Even you are projected as somebody else, You're in that world I was wearing purple pants. I was a white person. And I was thinking, look at that, even that Atma can take any roles. It's a very good example. I was wearing purple pants and I had red hair. So somebody had put me in that avatar. They called it, this is avatar. And I was going to people's houses in that world. I had a roller coaster ride in that world. My senses could experience, but I was not moving from my chair. My senses experienced the fall of the roller coaster. The heart was racing when I saw that drop. And everything was happening in what? The virtual reality world. It was creating, because there was an absorption there in that reality. But when knowledge came, saying, it is not really a roller coaster. It is only, take off the glasses, the panic and everything goes. Because it is exactly like this jagat. Atma is Sakshi, witnessing this virtual reality world. Yourself, body, mind, sense is a projection here. It is not you. It's projection, meaning avidya. Karana shariram is projection. Projection of Atma through Rajas, Rajo Guna predominant. It is a projected version of your real self. And the Sakshi is happily sitting, watching this virtual reality world. But what is happening? It is as though getting involved. It is getting swallowed by the virtual reality, not recognizing I can take off the glasses any moment and recognize my truth as the eternal witness. Nothing is actually happening to me. It is only happening to the projected version of myself. So this is what Ishvara has done. He's given us a virtual reality world. And that's why it is called in Sanskrit Anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya, Sat Asatbhyam Anirvachaniya. It is real. It is not absolutely real, but it is not absolutely unreal. It has an in-between reality, the world. It is not absolutely real. Why? Because absolute reality, Satyam, is absolute reality, and Trikalepi Yattishtati iti Satyam. It has to be in 3 periods of time. For it to have absolute reality, it has to be always. Is anything in the world always existing? No, not one thing. We see everything coming and going, lasting for some time. So things of the world do not have sat. They are not absolutely real. Then is it absolutely unreal? Are things absolutely unreal? Is this bell absolutely unreal? It is not absolutely unreal because I'm holding it and it's making a sound as well. It is, but if I examine it closer, what is this? If I tell you I only see brass, am I wrong? I don't see the bell, I see brass. If my vision moves to brass, what happens? I've shifted my vision from the name and form to the substance of the bell, and you can even break down the brass more. The brass can be broken down to different particles, everything. So whole Jagat is called Anirvachaniyan. It is neither absolutely real, nor is it absolutely unreal, because everything has utility. It has name, form, and function. Like a lump of clay has no utility, but if you form it into pots or lids or plates, you can use those things. But what is the truth of the pots, lids, and clay, or anything made from clay? In the clay world, the truth of everything in the clay world is nothing but clay. It's the same here. The truth of everything in the Jagat is nothing but Brahman. More and more the vision has to shift to this reality. So Jiva now has, the young Jivas now are excited about this world. They have been released. Now they're, from young they start enjoying the world, and this Jiva's karmas getting exhausted more and more. While exhausting the experiences, the Jiva wants more and more experience. So what do the Jivas do? Keep doing activity for more and more experience. I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to do this, I want to do that. So this is how the whole cycle of birth and death is perpetuated, because the cause, karana, avidya, that shariram is never addressed. That is never seen. And that is what we're seeing now in Vedanta. We are addressing the root cause. So when the root cause is dissolved, it ceases to produce the other 2 shariras. Sukshma and Stula cannot come into existence if Karana is no longer there. So this is the idea here. The whole Ishvara is free from his sankalpa. He doesn't have any ragas or dveshas when he creates this world. He is impartial order that creates. So the next word, the next verse, he talks now about how these elements are born. He says, Sattvam Shaiv Pañcadaśī kramadindriya panchakam Shrotratvak akshirasana granakyam upajayate. He says from the now Tattva-bodha comes into the picture from the sattva portion. So each element also, because it is a product of Maya. Anything which is a product of Maya, what is the rule? What is the rule in this Jagat? Cause always inheres the effect. We can see that cause, we can often tell the son or daughter of someone because the facial features would look like the mother or father. Usually boys look like mother, daughters look like fathers. That's what I think anyway. But we never know, but you can see there is similarity. The cause inheres the effect. We see similarities of the cause in any effect. So here, what is the cause? Maya. And Maya's gunas are what? Maya's qualities? Sattva. She is the mother, divine mother. She has sattva, rajas and tamas. And now the elements, the tamasic aspect, the tamaf pradhana prakriti has given rise to the elements. But we know that it is not only tamas, the rajas and sattva, they all three come together all the time. You cannot divorce like one from the other, but sometimes one is more predominant, one is less. So, all the elements now will contain what? Sattva, rajas and tamas. Every element will also have sattva, rajas, tamas guna. So he says here, from the sattva portion of the five elements, sattvam shehi panchabihi tesham, and in sequence, kramadhi, it is in sequence, the five sense organs are born. Indriya panchakam, the organs of knowledge. Sense organs in Sanskrit, beautiful word for that, jnanendriya. Jnanendriya, sense organs. Why? Because they bring in data, knowledge of the external world. Without the sense organs, we cannot have knowledge of the external world. They are like the data entry, data inputs. They don't do anything. They just bring in the data of the external world. When the sense jnanendriyas are dormant, do I recognize anything in the world? No. When the sense organs are dormant, the world is as good as non-existent. So here he says the five sense organs, what are they? The ear. Here we have to understand ear, skin, eye, tongue and nose. Upajayate, now they come into being. But is it really the ear? Is this really the sense organ? No. The sense organs that we are visible on our physical body are called golakas. They are location for the sense powers to work through. They are locations because the power resides where? The power behind sense organs resides in the subtle body. It is not located in the physical body. How do we know? Because if I go deaf, my ear doesn't fall off. Or if I go blind, my eyes don't pop out. The golakas are still there. The place of the organ is always there. It is intact. But what goes missing? The power of hearing, power of sight. So that is important to know because this physical body has no sentiency whatsoever by itself. It is really inert. It is, along with the sense we saw, elements and elementals, it is totally tamaf predominant, it is inert. So he says from the sattva amsha, five senses come. Shrotram is first mentioned, not tangible ear, but in Kenopanishad we say, ear of the ear, the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye. There it is talking about Brahman. Here we're talking about the power. The power of hearing is manifest through the ear. Very beautiful. So sense organs of perception is a subtle body that manifests the power. So when the power goes, it is fault in the subtle body. It is not working the subtle body. So these parts are all replaceable, even the ears, the eyes, everything. You can have eye transplant, you can replace the actual parts, but the powers so far have not been fully replaceable. Sometimes now they're discovering, to replace the power. They're able to, make the eyes, replace it in some way. So, tvak chakshuhu rasana grahanam. Tvak means skin. It's the sense organs of touch. Chakshuhu are the eyes. Rasana grahanam. Same things he mentions here. And the power, the beauty of this model is that each power is given a deity in Vedanta. So the blessing of the deity is actually meant to give you the blessing of that power. So for the deity behind the eyes is Aditya, sun. The sun, same sun, and the power behind, not this solar disk, the sun. There is a power there which is the functionary, the one that lends power to the sun to shine, to give warmth, to give heat. That is called Aditya or Surya. That same deity of the sun is present in my very eyes to give me the power of sight, because he is the Lord of light, right? So beautifully in India, if you have some eye problems, they'll say, chant Aditya Hridayam. Chant this, Aditya Hridayam is a song of praise for the sun. And many people do that, before they go for cataract surgery or anything, they'll keep chanting Aditya Hridayam, because the power of sight is, again, the blessing of the deity of the eyes, which is sun. So very beautifully, the whole body actually is divinized. There are presiding deities for every body part, presiding deities for every power in the thing. So here, 5 elements, he says, 5 objects of the senses, and he connects now, or we connect, in Vedanta we connect the elements with the sense powers, and we connect the elements also with the respective deities. So tomorrow we will see the gradation of elements, because he said kramat, what comes first and what power is it connected to and what element is it connected to. So you'll see beautifully the connections and the qualities of each sense organ. So each one borrows some quality of the one previous. So it always, the subtlest came into existence first, which is ether or space, akasha. Ether, space, which is totally formless, the subtlest. From that subtle akasha comes air. Air is perceptible in the sense that it is available for tvak, for skin. So akasha is not available for any of the senses, but air is available. You can feel the breeze, right? When you see the breeze, you can feel the air. So like this, tomorrow I will show how each of the elements borrows a quality of the previous element, leading to the grossest of elements, which is earth, which is available for all 5 sense organs. So we'll see that tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.